Good evening, welcome everyone to the regular meeting for the City of Lacombe Council. It is 5:30 p.m. on Monday, September 8th. I'll call the meeting to order. Council, you've got an opportunity to review agendas. Councilor Rooster.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. I would like to pull the minutes of August 25th of the consent agenda, please.
You're good. What else? With respect to the overall agenda, any items there for consideration? Councilor Rooster.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended. Is that okay? Or do you want to do it all in one?
No, do that.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you. Any additional input? Please go ahead and vote. Consent as amended is unanimously accepted. Councilor Klein.
Also, we accept the regular council agenda presented.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please go ahead and vote. Everything that is unanimously approved. The agenda. Councilor Rooster, you have the minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'd like to point out on page 4, there's 2 motions at the end of that page that Councilor Dallas's name was missed, and I asked him, and he said he voted in favor.
Were there any other items on that?
No. Do you want a motion to accept them as amended?
Well, yeah, just before I verify with Councilor Dallas that in fact is correct as amended.
Yes, Mayor Creasy, those are correct. Thank you, Councilor Rooster.
Appreciate that. Councilor Rooster.
I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Before I started, I forgot to mention a couple of things. Unfortunately, our phone system has not been totally corrected. I understand that it would be a bit more of a ordeal than what we anticipated. So hopefully everybody can speak loudly into their mics for the benefit of those watching at home. This is especially impactful. And also this evening, CEO Gotti is away, and filling in is Director Thompson. As our interim CEO, we appreciate your assistance. No other input, so please go ahead and vote on the amended minutes from August 25th. That is unanimously in favor as well. Thanks, everyone. Presentations this evening. We have a Lacombe Soccer Club, and as president is Jeff Mason. I'm going to let you introduce your entire crew. Here to make your way up to the front here. And, remind you to Once again, introduce everyone and you should use the microphone. Closely, just push the button on the front there. And when the red light comes on, you're like, there you go, the floor is yours.
Well, good evening, councilors and there. My name is Jeff Mason. I'm the president of the Macomb Soccer Club. Beside me, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Jan Rodenberg. I'm the junior director for the Macomb Soccer Club.
Also in attendance, we have Cecilia Metro Meno, our vice president. I'm sure I just messed up her name. And Jamin Head, who's our technical director as well. So the four of us are in attendance today. Once I figure out this. Great. Thank you so much for allowing us to present to you guys tonight. I've been involved with the Macomb Soccer Club since 2018, and I have no idea when we were last in front of the city council. It's been, I think, decades since the Macomb Soccer Club has come and done a presentation for you guys. So we thought it was past due time for us to kind of get in front of you guys again, remind this council kind of what our organization is and what we're doing here at home, and I guess let you know what some of our needs are, just so that we're on your radar a little bit. So that was the idea behind asking to present to you guys today. Just a quick synopsis of our program. We have a mini house league program. You might have seen them if you ever passed these schools every kind of Monday and Wednesday. We have just under 400 kind of 2-year-olds up to 9-year-olds kind of play 10-minute soccer twice a week in May and June. It's just one of the most fantastic things to see out there. In addition to the mini program, we have a junior program, which is U9 traveling soccer all the way up to U19 traveling soccer. And I guess we actually, for the first time in the last few years, have an adult women's team as well that goes and plays in right here as well. So really kind of from 2-year-olds all the way up to, I think we have some 40-year-olds that play on that adult women's teams. You might not know this, but we hosted a tournament for the first time this last spring, for the first time in 12 years. So it was kind of definitely our toes into getting into the tournament scene. And we hosted a number of kind of local communities for like a total of, I think, 32 teams that participated in our first Macomb Soccer Showdown. That was kind of one of our big things the last season that we hadn't done for a while. And you guys might not know, so CASA is our governing body in Central Alberta. It stands for the Central Alberta Soccer Association. It has 17 different clubs that participate in it. And despite the fact that Lacombe is not as big as Camaro, it's not quite as big as Silver Lake, we actually, off and on, have been battling Camrose for the most soccer players in Central Alberta. Connected to so Camrose and Camaro help for who has the most participants, but it's kind of a source of pride that we have. Outside of Red Deer in Central Alberta, Macomb has more soccer players or tied with the Camrose or any community in Central Alberta. And that kind of just speaks to our registration numbers. It's been holding fairly consistent for the last 3 years. The pandemic did things with our numbers, but since kind of the pandemic, we've seen pretty substantial growth, and that growth has kind of been, I guess, maintained. So we have approximately 132 players that are currently registered for an upcoming indoor season. We have 629 players that have played for us in May and June for our program. As well as for the first time in a number of years, we've also been able to have higher tier soccer. So a number of tier 3 teams as last our course as well. And we have some statistics from the last 2 years. But essentially, we've seen modest growth after pretty substantial growth in 2003, 2004, and then we kind of maintained that those numbers since then. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the city of Lacombe has contributed to Lacombe Soccer Club in a variety of ways over the past 10 to 20 years. So one of the major ways that the city of Lacombe has contributed to Lacombe Soccer Club is that we were given a 20-year lease on the storage shed and connected to Missionary Park. And I think that lease is coming due from our understanding. But for the last 20 years, the city has generously kind of donated that location, the one storage units, a cost. You guys, I was trying really hard to find it on these that I believe it was 2015. You guys opened the Northwest Recreation area, which is kind of all the four soccer fields connected at the end. That's kind of our main recreation soccer area. In addition, your city workers this year worked with us to build 2 new nets at Popo's Park, and also brought kind of benches and added benches to Popo's Park for our 2 fields at Popo's Park last season. We pay you guys to line paint for us and for kind of general field maintenance about every 2 weeks in May and June. And July this year, you guys paint the soccer fields. We pay you guys for that. So the city's been really exceptional kind of responding to messages and communication. Painting the fields when you say look at terms. So and obviously so just general field facilities is how we've kind of calculated the major contributions of the city of Lacombe to our club over the last while. Why? Another reason we're here, but I guess that last slide, we wanted to just go through what you guys have done for us over the last 20 years to show that it's been a very positive relationship, and just to thank the city of Lacombe for how you guys have contributed to helping the club be successful. With that being said, in terms of sustaining kind of our successful organization and our club, we do have just a few things we wanted to put on your radar when it comes to facilities. So the biggest one, I guess, is the Northwest Recreation area. And I'm not sure if this has been on your guys' radar, if you guys have talked about it at previous council meetings. The biggest thing is kind of re-leveling, where the fields were kind of built, from my understanding, on a former kind of dump sites, if that's correct. And as a result, after kind of the fields settled, they've settled. So all 4 of the fields, to varying degrees, have a lot of kind of roll through the fields. Some of the corners on the fields, like you can't actually see the corner of the soccer field because it kind of dips down from the center of the field. It's particularly problematic when it rains and there's standing water kind of on the fields, because the fields don't drain properly, so it kind of leads to standing water all covering the fields. So I'm not sure if that's been discussed too much at kind of the council meetings, but it's a major issue with kind of these 4 fields. And Lacombe is ideally located within Kingston. The Central River Soccer Association goes from Camrose to Rimbey to Stettler to Rocky Mountain House. So Lacombe is kind of the central community. So a lot of clubs actually come and play games here in Lacombe and pay the city for the use of the fields. For example, the Rockies set the play under a Rocky or Cameron, they usually schedule games here and pay Kansas City or Rome to use our fields. We would like that to continue because we think it's a great economic benefit to our city. But there have been kind of complaints sent to kind of home soccer from some of those other organizations, just being like, there was standing water on the field and it wasn't that great. And we hate to kind of lose some of that activity to say Panoka or some other kind of surrounding communities because our facilities and soccer fields just aren't quite at the same level as some of the surrounding communities. Additionally, as I mentioned, we ran our first tournament in 12 years. And we used the Northwest Recreation area for the bulk of that tournament. And this was like a new problem this year that we didn't foresee. The parking lot there is not really designed for four kind of fields being used at once. Like when everyone was trying to park for the tournaments, we just found that the parking was not anywhere near kind of the capacity we needed to utilize effectively all four fields. And essentially what it came down to is the parking lot at Woodlands Fields is designed so there's only one entrance and one exit, the same one. And if you have people parking on the one side and people parking on the other side, there's only enough room for one lane of traffic. So when you have some people trying to leave and some people trying to enter, as a soccer organization, we actually had to set up traffic guards because people were getting into fights over kind of targeting with the tournaments because people were trying to get in and people were trying to leave. It was just one gigantic traffic jam. And we think that it's an easy enough fix, partly if we just add in kind of a second entrance or a second exit to that facility. But we had no idea that that was like an issue until we kind of ran the tournament here and utilized all four fields at once. And just in our experience, the parking was not sufficient for utilizing all four fields. So that was kind of the Northwest Recreation area. We have had meetings with city workers. Jan and I met with Rod at the city and talked a little bit about this in the spring. So I'm not quite sure if he passed any of that information along, but the city workers have been really positive in kind of helping us out. But we did bring that to some workers eventually back in spring. Another conversation we had with Rod was line painting. So we paid the city to paint all the city fields for us. But historically, the city has not painted the fields at the junior highs. So all those 400 mini soccer, Timbit soccer's fields, we have painted ourselves. We have our own paint machine, but that has been a major expense for our club, a major kind of headache. Our machine is kind of constantly dying. And so one ask or consideration we have for the city is possibly when we go to Tasco, when we go to Camrose, when we talk to the other clubs, they say that the city, even though like some of the fields are on their school properties, Wolf Creek property, typically in other communities, the city paints all the soccer fields and the clubs just pay the city to paint all the soccer fields. So it would be a huge, I guess, support to our organization if the city would be willing to have their workers contribute by painting kind of the Wolf Creek properties as well as kind of the city fields. And we'd be willing to pay for that time, maybe obviously. But that's another consideration. The lease is coming due on the storage shed at Commissioner, so we don't know if you guys can talk about kind of that specific facility or property, but we are hoping that you guys are open to seeing us that property again for other storage. And then we've talked a little bit about improving the facilities in terms of getting covered benches. And we know that there's some grants that we've also applied for to build some kind of shelters, shelter benches for some of the soccer fields. So that's something we're working with the city, and I know I've talked to a few city employees about this, the grant process.
Thank you for letting us present. Just want to talk a little bit about kind of the future of soccer and what we're seeing happening in Canada and Alberta and in our local community. Jeff alluded to it. I think we're seeing continuous growth in our soccer club locally. With the kind of last point there, but with FIFA World Cup coming to Canada and the US, Mexico, I think soccer is just becoming more and more on the forefront. And it is one of the fastest growing sports in Alberta and Canada. I looked it up, actually, pickleball was number 1. Soccer was nothing against pickleball. That was the one we played. And then what we see in Alberta as well is a few years ago, Calgary added their first professional team, Canadian professional team with the Calgary FC. And we recently had the semi-pro league launched here in Alberta. So that's a semi-pro league for both men and women's soccer. And in Calgary, for kind of the stats I could find for Alberta, they've seen a 12% year-over-year growth. We're not seeing quite the same, but we're seeing continuous growth. So what do we see happening in Macomb? Sort of the same trends. We're seeing growth. We're trying to give opportunities for local players to play at a higher level. So historically, Red Deer and Leduc and Edmonton has kind of been the only places where they could go and play Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 soccer. And this past year, we provided Tier 3 soccer for 3 different teams, U13 and U15 level. That was quite successful. We're hoping to continue to do that, just keep more players playing in the home instead of going out and playing in Red Deer, playing in Edmonton. We do see a need because of the growth. We do see a need for more outdoor fields. We're getting pretty limited on space, so we're really hoping that might be on, or might come onto the radar in the future. We are going to look for, be looking for more outdoor fields. We did hear some rumblings that maybe we're going to use soccer fields, which would be pretty detrimental to local soccer. So we're hoping that, there will be a plan in place to try and replace that and potentially more fields. And then for indoor facilities as well, we're just starting the registrations for indoor soccer. We're using a lot of the local school gyms. Some of them we use free of charge, some of them we pay for. I'm not sure what the plans are for the future. Some sort of indoor facility would be phenomenal to have as well. And to continue to bring more teams to Macomb. So Jeff alluded to it a little bit. We're located very well for Castle. And a lot of teams are playing here. We're also seeing teams from Red Deer and Edmonton being here, especially for the outdoor season, and playing on some of our fields. So we're hoping that, we continue to do that. I think it's good for the city as well, and continue to kind of create a partnership that way as well.
Sure, I'll just add a little bit of context with the indoor kind of predicament we find ourselves in. We have 13, indoor season, we have 13 indoor soccer teams. This year we might have 14 indoor soccer teams. We are using almost every single school gym in Macomb to have as kind of a practice space, but we're upsetting the other organizations. In February and March, we get tons of emails from the schools asking us exactly how long we're going to be and when our season is done. Because pickleball and baseball are breathing down our necks in terms of there's just not enough space to go around. And so where we find we're constantly in a fight with kind of pickleball and softball, and some of the other organizations in town for kind of the gym spaces, just because we are maxing out the amount of gym space.
Thank you. So some of the benefits to the city of October, at least the way that we see it, we did bring in about 18 different teams for a tournament this past summer. So that obviously was roughly 300 people that visited the home and visited some of the local businesses, restaurants, hotels, different shops. And then we do have quite a few kids also coming from indoor communities, especially for indoor soccer. Coming from Sylvan, Vendier, Alex, Bandy from Domino's, and some of those parents drop their kids off, stick downtown for a little bit, just groceries, whatever, but they're hanging out in town and adding more value, I guess, to the city and home. And then, like we mentioned earlier, it's kind of a meeting point for the different teams out there. As far as community engagement, it is a very cost-effective sport. Kids have the work, parents, families have the ability to sign up for the low cost. I think we charge $170 per team for a work.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche that fulfills a lot of technical goals, is that we are kind of generally the cheapest team sports compared to a lot of other team sports. So we get a lot of the families in the home that might not be able to afford, say, hockey or football, but a big niche that we can fill. It's just kind of the low cost team sports.
Yeah, so we want to see that continue to happen and develop the youth, having them be active and engaged in sports here in the community. And then obviously we're trying to develop them as well by offering some higher tiers soccer as well. That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, counselors. We mostly just wanted to, I guess, introduce ourselves, let you know a little bit about our organization, as well as maybe put some of those kind of needs for sustainability and facilities kind of moving forward, just so that it's on your guys' radar. Because when we talk to city workers, they say, oh, like, yeah, we're familiar with the role that is in the soccer fields. And they're like, there's been discussions around releveling that, and it just needs to be put in the budget. And it's like, okay, well, is it in the budget? They're like, well, no. It's like, okay, well, how do we get it in the budget? They're like, well, you probably have to come to the counselors and talk about it, show that there is a need, so that it does get into the budget, so that we can start moving forward, so that we're not having this conversation 2-3 years from now.
Thank you for coming and presenting this evening. It's appreciated. We appreciate the work that you put into our organization that does people out here at home. Not sure who's up for Councilor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Just for information for yourselves, on the record, and there is an intermunicipal agreement, cautionary agreement with the county and the city that if you, for example, have 100 members that are from the county, they are very supportive in paying their percentage of the organization for costs. We have, for example, with swimming pool numbers that we gated based upon where the participants were living and reflected back in them numbers. So if you have them numbers to support that, I would encourage you to attend county meetings as well, and they could possibly financially support you for that. Once again, you also just put forth the budget. You obviously have 4 fields of concern. Make a request, I guess. It would be great if administration looked at in the future, but we're obviously going to do every field at once. You do 1 a year, hypothetically. But yeah, you never got to start the process because it's a lengthy one. The budget's coming up. So thank you.
Councilor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you do. I definitely was home the weekend of the tournament because we commented that we had never heard the field sound like that, I think. But at least I'm assuming it was that weekend. So you made a couple of comments about, well, the leveling and whatnot, and I know I was saying, yes, we've talked about it. I saw Councillor Hibbs saying, no, we haven't done anything formal, but we definitely had it on the radar because our former director of community services and CAO had gone out there to walk the field and see it. So it is definitely on our radar, but you're right, there's no formal things into place. So this is great that you're here. We're reminded of that. I too walk that area, so I know it's real. Not that you guys need any validation there. You talked about a recreation facility. Oh, back to the leveling. I think we heard a crazy number though. It's very expensive. Is that not correct? And I'll just throw that out there. Maybe someone will respond. It is very expensive. But go ahead. I can pause.
I'm not aware of a number and cost yet. I know we've done some investigations into that. But I off the top of my head, I don't know that number. I'm just looking for it.
Yeah, continue.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mayor. You talked about a recreation facility, and building recreation facilities is a significant challenge for municipalities. And there is some movement, and tonight we'll actually be addressing about having a regional municipal agreement that we would work together to potentially develop some of these recreation facilities. So again, thank you for being here, keeping this on our radar. This is a need. I don't think you're losing a soccer field, but I'm just throwing that out there casually because I don't know that piece. I also heard you comment on that, but I appreciate that you bring this to our attention.
Councillor Dawson.
Thank you, Mark Creasy. I'd like to thank Councillor Hoopstruck for taking all my points, as usual. I don't have the same experience as Councillor Connick with his son in soccer and the extent of that. And I'm sure he'd like to thank Lacombe Miners Soccer for his journey through that. I have experience with my grandson in there, and I did experience the parking issue. I'd love to see that many people parked all over the place and in chaos, because you know there's a lot of people in our community. I think these tournaments are extremely important to Lacombe, and I look forward to supporting that in the future if I get the opportunity. And it is something I think is very important to continue with our Miners Soccer program. I love it.
Councillor Dallas.
Thanks, Mayor Casey. Yeah, just erasing a whole bunch of comments here for everyone else to carry, but yeah, thanks for coming tonight. I think it's great when user groups and organizations come and present to us. It can really highlight this information. You know, we do our recreation and social studies, and then that information comes to us just all together. And so it's nice that we can separate this out and understand what your needs are, what your desires are. What maybe would be interesting in the future for you. And so I thank you for coming, and I hope some other user groups in the city comes to and can present like that. Tournaments, I think, are incredible for the city, whether it's soccer, baseball, softball. When you get 10 teams, 50 teams coming into the community and spending an entire weekend here, it is incredibly beneficial economically for the community as a whole. And so that has incredible benefits to us. And that is part of the reason that we support these fields, these sports activities, and money goes towards them. And you made a comment, we pay to use them. And yes, we appreciate that, but these are always net losers for money. And so that's the reason we do that is to support the community members, and then there are, any time like this, there are economic benefits to it. So it's great. I think knowing that these fields are maybe in a condition you like, we can put that in our minds for the future, and whoever is here in a month hopefully can look back and read this and pay attention to that, and we can adjust some operating numbers so that these things can go. There's a lot of faces and a lot of people that want to have improvements. And so you have to find a way to balance it between what is needed the most and what the money can go towards. Your indoor facility, yeah, I would love to see one. I remember I lived in Red Deer when the Collet opened the year after I graduated. And so you missed a lot of youth time in there, and then I made up for it from 18 to 21 playing tennis and basketball and stuff inside. And I didn't play soccer, but I know it's a huge part of that. So I know there is demand from the public for that, and there was a study that was being partnered with Black Falls and Macomb County and the city of Macomb for a facility of some along that nature. And as Councillor Hoopster alluded to in this meeting as well, there's discussions of a tribal partnership. And so I think there's that, but there is also maybe opportunities with other user groups in the city that may be able to partner with you to create an indoor facility if they had a secondary partner or a third partner. And if there was a business plan for that, then absolutely, I think the city would be interested in being a partner of that as well. So if you want, we can maybe discuss that after the meeting and my thoughts on that and what that could be. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. Thanks to the soccer organization for providing a lot of kids and youth something to do and places to grow.
Councillor Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Yeah, as Councillor Gullickson alluded to, my boys started with Panthers and moved on to tier 2, tier 1 in Red Deer and Edmonton. I know my youngest still plays out of Red Deer. But I haven't, my boy moved over to practice a lot. I know when we put those fields in, took a while. We didn't actually play on them for a few years because you have to take and so forth. And so I haven't been out there a bit, but I thank you for highlighting what is occurring out there. And yeah, we will need to address that going forward, I think, at some point. But I did want to speak to just briefly on Missioner. Those two fields are excellent. My son played an Edmonton club, as you alluded to there this summer, for an outdoor game, a couple actually. So those fields are I know there's been some mumbling about how we need to more baseball and we should remove those pitches, but those pitches need to they're excellent. So that's just something I want to just throw out there. But thank you for all your work and the continued growth. It's phenomenal. It's great to see.
Sure, so can I respond to that?
Certainly.
Sure. Yeah, I do want to emphasize that the two Missionary fields are excellent fields, and like Hobo Park, you guys just put into fields this year. But I don't want to give the impression that all recent ball markets that was not my intention. And it's partly there's always kind of stories or kind of conversations out there about what to do with different locations, different facilities. We love Missionary Fields, which is why partly we're just wanting to be here and make sure that if there is any discussion around this, repurposing those fields, we hope that we would be kind of consulted and discussed with, because we do love those two facilities. They are widely used by Edmonton clubs and Red Deer clubs as well, because they are such excellent machines.
You mentioned earlier that you had spoken with Manager Gilbo about issues there, and while that's perfectly understandable, I would think it would be more appropriate if we gave you a contact at City Hall, and I would ask our acting CEO, would that be Director Alderson or Director Patrick, that would be the appropriate contact for soccer club to speak with on some of these maintenance and upgrade issues.
Thanks, so that would be Director Alderson, Director of Parks. Rod would mention Parks Department reports to Director Alderson. So in terms of maintenance requests or maintenance issues or compliments,
and certainly it's understandable that there will be some issues there. As you know, it's only been a little more than a decade since that area was in fact created, and there's areas in there that's built that is, I'm going to say, 40 feet deep. It's a lot. There was a lot of material in there, so it's understandable. I think it was mentioned earlier that it's going to be kind of a difficult thing to upgrade a facility. Feels like that because you probably don't want to basically sacrifice 1 year Because it just happened overnight, takes some time to grow back in, so nice to have some sort of a schedule put together. And the parking and whatnot, it's nice to get that in the works so that something can hopefully be put into works now that basically the road is there. One day is intended to extend further west. However, I expect that will not be in the very near future, so we're going to utilize some of that space as well and create a better traffic flow. It's all right for the bay. And as was mentioned for the indoor area, all the information I think that was supplied is certainly correct. However, let's keep in mind that that entire situation is in its infancy. And those types of major projects do not happen overnight. So please don't be left with the impression this is something you're going to utilize in the next few years, because it will take substantially longer than that.
Absolutely, that's partly the impetus as to why we approached the council today, is that we've heard from various kind of contexts through the city that this is not an overnight process. Like this is a multi-year kind of process, whether we're talking about improvements to woodlands, possible indoor kind of partnership with other organizations. I guess we just didn't want to be sitting around 40 years from now and be like, wow, we really want that process keeps going. So we do think that it's important for the long-term sustainability and success of soccer in the home that the city seriously consider long-term needs for those facilities. And it takes a while to get the ball rolling, but let's get the ball rolling.
Absolutely, and good for you for having the initiative to come here and speak to us. You've got an administrative team and a council, and I expect the next council will be as well. It's very engaged in minor sports in our city. So yeah, look forward to working together with you, and hopefully you're able to come up with some sort of plan that can be workable both for your operations and enjoyment and city finances as well.
On behalf of the Woodlands Soccer Club, thank you so much for hearing us and for allowing us to present this to you.
Have a great day. So next up, we do have a couple of public hearings this evening. The first one is before us. It's a public hearing for the removal and disposal of municipal reserve designation. Mayor, I declare the public hearing for the removal and disposal of a municipal reserve designation now open, and that this hearing is held pursuant to the procedural bylaw 370 and in sections 7, 8, 230, 606, 640, and 675 of the Municipal Government Act 2000 as amended, and requests our legislative coordinator to confirm the purpose of this public hearing, that the statutory public hearing was in fact advertised as required by the city's advertising bylaw, and that any written submissions received and not included in the public hearing agenda package are now read into the record. Coordinator Milivono.
Thank you, Mayor Christine. Council, the purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public to offer input on the proposed removal and disposal of the municipal reserve or designation, which was first included on the August 2025 Council consent agenda. The proposal seeks to remove the MR designation and dispose of a portion of lot R1 and 7720810. If approved, the portion of the land immediately north, the adjacent to 5132 6th East Street close, will have its municipal reserve designation removed and be disposed of accordingly. According to the city's advertising bylaw 42 and section 606 of the Municipal Government Act regarding advertising requirements, public hearing notice was published in the Macomb Express on Thursday, August 21st and 28th, 2025, and on the city website as indicated in the package. The Christine Council, no written submissions were received, and the city received no registrations from members of the public.
Thank you. I'll just Mr. Fluid the opportunity to come up and make himself up front. And remind all persons giving oral presentations are to clearly state their name and presentations are brief and to the point. The order of the statutory public hearing presentation will be as follows. Initially, the relevant officer, Mr. Fluid, is before us, and followed by those in favor. Then any opposed, and finally, any person deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard. Mr. Fluid, the floor is yours.
Mayor Creasy, I'm Albert Ozen. Locallis is my firm that is retained to support planning staff with this spot. I've appeared before this before when I was interim director of PCPS from a couple of years ago. So quickly with this presentation, as has been announced already, is to deal with this public hearing to deal with disposal of a piece of municipal reserve land. So the summary, the proposal is to remove the MR designation part on our loan plan 7720810, and you will see the adjacent property, residential property to the south with the house, and the inset map at the north shows in a tan color the area that we're talking about this evening. It's got a total area of about 6 meters by 40 meters, about 240 meters squared, or 25 feet area. So it's a portion of the MR. A bit of the background, the issue, over many years, the owners of 5132 60th Street closed have added landscape features to their property. However, in the process, they also occupied a portion of the municipal reserve area to the north of their home. And this image is a little hard to make out, but there's a property line at the north end, and there's a significant area of a significant improved area with stone and concrete that is an extension of their backyard. The subject land is a portion of the municipal reserve area north of 60th Street Close and southwest of the Coleman Christian School. The MR area, if you were to go out there, you wouldn't be able to distinguish it from the schoolyard, except the area of the pond is mainly owned by the city as part of the MR. But it is technically a park space. The proposed solution to this issue is to subdivide and sell the affected area to the neighboring owners. The rationale for doing this, the area is public open space, but it's not improved as a park. It's not centrally located in the neighborhood. If you were to zoom out and look at the city generally, park areas that feature central to neighborhoods or to the city as a whole. This is really at the edge of the neighborhood, just golf course. And as I indicated, it hasn't been improved as to the public park would be. It's also got no parking of its own. Main access to the site is really just a tiny corner off the lane to the east. There's a little bit of frontage on the lane. And there's technically a right of way from the street, but it's not a walkway at this point. If designated today, the pond and the area around it would be environmental reserve. Like example policies on your municipal development plan, and this is the kind of land that you would designate as ER. The affected area is small. It's not believed to affect the pond. As Ms. Bell indicated, no comments are received as dated preparing this report. Next steps would be removal of the MR designation. This requires a council resolution, council approval. Concurrent with this, we would need rezoning of the land to facilitate subdivision and consolidation. And along with that subdivision approval, it would be approved to subdivide this 240 meters squared from the MR and consolidate with the property to the south. So it would not become its own property, but consolidated. And so the recommended motions that council approves the removal of the MR designation from the identified part of Lot R1, Plan 7720810, and direct administration to notify the registrar of land titles. And practically speaking, that would happen along with the subdivision process and what the surveyor does. And then council directs administration to proceed with an application. Sorry, that council directs administration to proceed with an application to subdivide part of lot R1, plan 7720-180 to consolidate with lot 8, lot 4, plan 7720-810, conditional on removal of the municipal reserve designation from the certificate of title for said land. And council would authorize administration to direct the conveyance of land to the adjacent property where all the conditions of the subdivision approval be satisfied. And that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. One item that could, if you just verify for me on the one drawing here, where you got it up in blue. In the property that is indicated in yellow. Just for now, I'm just curious if this 6 meter by 40 meter parcel does in fact make the property line even from that right in that on that drawing. So I'm overlay on the lot. Or yet. Sure, that will work. So you see the property lines there in yellow, and that traverse like blue area.
Yes.
Does that include the 6 meter portion there now, so that the property lines on the homeowners to the left and right are the even all the way through, or does in fact the 6 meters extend beyond that one line?
The blue trapezoid is the existing residential lot and does not include the area of MR. So the property lines would not be even, and the property line which other by 6 meters.
Appreciate that clarification. So it just indicated that they had a couple different drawings trying to do which one was. Thank you. All right, I would ask anyone choosing to speak in favor. This MR removal and disposal, please come forward. Honestly, don't like. Second call for anyone who should speak in favor.
That's the one section of the select, like that one section, like that. The area you were talking about, like above the one.
To the north of the lot. Do you wish to speak at this time? Okay. Third and final call for anybody wishing to speak in favor of this removal disposal of the MR designation. Very good. And we'll move into those opposed. Is there anyone that's opposed would care to speak? Step forward. Second call for an opportunity to speak. Opposition. And third and final call. Finally, any person deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard this time. This is your opportunity. Looks like you need to pull them out of interest in that one as well. Second call. For any person deemed to be affected, removal and disposal of the MR designation. Third and final opportunity. I see none, so I declare the public hearing for the removal and disposal of the municipal reserve MR designation to be closed at 6:24 p.m. And because public hearings are almost regularly, we're going to do 2 in a row. This one is for land use bylaw public hearing. Excuse me. Declaring the statutory public hearing for bylaw 427-4 now open, and that this hearing is held pursuant to procedural bylaw 370 and sections 7, 8, 230, 606, 640, and 692 of the Municipal Government Act 2000 as amended, and request from legislative coordinator to confirm the purpose of this public hearing, that the statutory public hearing notice was advertised as required by the city's advertising bylaw, and any written submissions received and not included in the public hearing agenda package are now read into the record. Coordinator Bellomo.
Thank you, Mayor Christie and Council. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for the general public to offer input on the proposed amendment to bylaw 400.74, which received its first reading on August 11, 2024. Bylaw 400.74 seeks to amend non-use bylaw 400. If approved, bylaw 400.74 will amend Schedule 15.1, the city and non-use district map, by changing the line use designation on the affected portion of the municipal reserve area, which is a portion of lot R1 on 772.0810, immediately north and adjacent to 5132 60th Street, from environmental open space district (EOS) to residential attached district (R1). In accordance with the city's advertising bylaw 42 and section 606 of the municipal government act, regarding advertising requirement to public hearing notice was published in the Local Express on Thursday, August 21st and 28th, 2025, and on the city website as indicated in the agenda package. Please note that an error occurred in the title of the advertisement, with the bylaw number was incorrectly listed as 400.72. This error appeared in both the Local Express and on the website. However, the remainder of the advertisement was accurate, and the correct bylaw number 400.74 was correctly referenced in the body of the error on the website was corrected during the week, September 1st, 2025. Mayor Christie and Council, no written submissions were received, and the city received no registrations from members of the public.
Thank you. As with the previous public hearing, all persons giving a presentation clearly state their name, and presentations are to be brief and to the point. The order will be the same as previous as well. Officer designate. Mr. Fluin again. Thank you for joining us, and followed by those in favor, and an opportunity for those opposed, followed by anyone deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard. Mr. Fluin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. As has been introduced, this is a public hearing for the amendment, redesignation of the area north of 5132 close from environmental open space to residential single attached R1. So the summary, this proposes an amendment to the City of Macomb land use bylaw to designate this area just north of 5132 60th Street close, as you've already seen this evening. And again, it's the area in the yellow tan color, showing illustrated north of the residential property. This was, of course, the plan prepared by the surveyor. Background: the purpose of this amendment is to facilitate subdivision of the subject land consolidated 132 60th Street close. And of course, this area is also subject to separate proposals for municipal reserve designation. Bylaw was given first reading on August 11th. If the council approves second reading, administration will proceed with proposed subdivision application with third reading of the bylaw as a condition of subdivision approval. This is a little bit of a challenging process because there's three separate applications. So we're having to deal with moving parts, but the proposal here is to recommend the council give second reading to the bylaw. The subdivision approval is conditional and granted. It would presumably include, it has to include finalization of redesignation of the land, and then the administration will bring the bylaw back for third reading, but no public hearing or other public input would be required at that point. It would be a straightforward process. And this work is also being done at the cost of the owner, 5132 60th Street close. It would also pay market value for the subject land. Of course, the subject land is a portion of the MR area north of 60th Street Close, southwest of Macomb Christian School. The proposed amendment has been reviewed and is considered to be consistent with the city of Macomb municipal development plan. The bylaw proposes to amend the land use bylaw by changing the land use designation of this small area of land, the 240 meters squared that I described. No other changes to the land use bylaw being proposed. The rationale, over many years, the owners of 260 Street Close have added landscape features to their property, but they don't occupy in the process a portion of the MR north of the property. And of course, this redesignation, like the removal of the MR, is a necessary part of the process to subdivide and consolidate this area with residential property. There were no changes from the first reading of bylaw, and no comments were received as of the date of preparation of the report. And so the recommendation is that council give second reading to bylaw 400.74 as presented.
Thank you. Okay, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Bylaw 400.74, now's your opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
I just would like to share, say I'm in favor of.
Very good. I'm going to have you give us your name for the record then.
My name is Deb Rose Travel.
Thank you.
And that is my home, 5130 16th Street, Terrace. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you being here. I would expect that you would be in favor of. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Third and final call. Very good. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Bylaw 400.74. Please come forward now. Not seeing anyone, so I'm going to move on to any person deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard at this time. Else wishing to speak? Final opportunity. I declare the public hearing for bylaw 400.74 to be closed at 6:32 p.m. Order a request for decision, council item 6.1. Is the disposal of reserved land, lot of plan 77208. 10. Leonard Fluban, are you putting this on this one as well? At least that's the way it's listed on my share.
Thank you very much, Mayor Creasy. Based on Planner Fluban's recommendations tonight, there are 3 recommendations before you for consideration disposal of municipal reserve. And I believe all of that information was presented by Planner Fluban. However, I'm sure he'll answer questions if council has any.
Councilor Ellison, go ahead.
Thank you. See, I don't have any questions. I think the presentation was very well done. I would like to make the first motion, if I could, that council approves the removal of the municipal reserve designation from the identified department of lot R1 line 7720810 and direct administration to notify the register of land sales.
Thanks, Councilor Ellison. Mr. Fluban, so to be clear, the removal of the designation, does it apply to that entire parcel above the farm or only the portion that will be amalgamated with a residential lot?
Your intention is to remove the designation simply from 240 meters squared area that is proposed for subdivision and consolidation. And so it would not apply to the remainder of the remainder of the area would remain a small reserve.
Perhaps, my memory played tricks me, but I thought there was some mention that the remainder of the land would be environmental. There's some differences between those two. Was that correct, or did I just hear it wrong?
It is proposed to remain a small reserve. I was commenting on the nature of the area, characteristics of the area, comparing it to the current NDP. If the area was subject of an area structure plan today and was being developed for the first time, it would more likely be designated environmental reserve instead. But we're not proposing any change to the area designation this time, other than this subject parcel.
Thank you. Just want to make that clear. Probably appreciate that. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I just wanted to make a couple comments on this specific item. So changing something from a municipal reserve to something else is not an easy process, as you probably gathered from this presentation. I think it also was worth pointing out that it happens rarely, and that is for a reason. I would say that I am to some degree uncomfortable with this. Don't panic, I'm still going to support this specific motion for reasons, but I just think that it's important for the public to realize that this is not a decision that's made lightly, and that it's something that sure will do for anybody. Because my concern with this is a little bit of a precedent setting, that we're saying that if you just go over your borders and then ask for forgiveness after the fact, that you will grant it. And I would say that in this case specifically, which is why I'm going to vote in favor of it, is I don't see that the reserve has any, I don't know, I guess, useful value. I don't see it being developed, as was pointed out, into a park space. So this is a little bit less painful than it could be otherwise. But I really do think that it's worth highlighting that this is unusual and rather unsavory, frankly. But I think in this case, it's a good solution between the city and the homeowner. There's some history there that we're not going to get into in a public hearing, obviously. And so I think that we got here honestly, and this is a solution that's the cleanest going forward. And I do appreciate the amount of work that's gone into this by administration. Also, obviously, the current occupant of the property, just being very respectful in all the conversations that we've had about this, and that really goes a long way to come to this solution. But I am a little bit concerned also, frankly, about the amount of work that this has taken to do, and I just don't want to see this happen over and over and over again in our community. So I just really wanted to highlight this, because to me, this is a really big deal.
See what the lights on, so just ask that Coordinator Belzebub repeat the motion.
Motion on the floor, titled by Councillor Valentin, is that council approve the removal of the municipal reserve designation from the identified part of lot R1 plan 717-0810, the director.
Thank you. One last opportunity to speak. Very good. So you need to go ahead and vote. That's carried unanimously. Councilor Ross.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Assuming we are now on to motion E. Correct. The council direct administration to proceed with an application to subdivide part of lot R1 plan 772-0810 to consolidate with lot 8, block 4, plan 772-0180, conditional on removal of the municipal reserve designation from the certificate of title for the said land.
So to be clear, then that was the 240 square meter parcel to the north of that property. Very good. Any additional input? Please proceed to vote. That's passed unanimously as well. Councilor Butcher.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. I move that council authorize administration to direct the conveyance of the land to the adjacent property owner upon the conditions of subdivision approval being satisfied.
Thank you for that, Councilor Butcher. And one of those conditions was payment, and we did try to touch on that briefly. There was some mention that the city's not really interested in entertaining this all across the city just because you happen to have some non-publicly deeded lands behind your property or next to it. And this was not without substantial cost, both for the administrative work, the surveying, land titles work, some penalties, back penalties, and also the cost of land itself. So I guess what I'm saying is, for a person to bring this forward, you have to really want the land and be prepared for a very lengthy process and not an inexpensive one, I may add. So there is an additional item brought forward. Councilor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Make the motion that council authorize the administration to direct. Sorry. You did that one sort of run second set of words, correct? Thank you.
Normally, I can honestly say it's myself who messes up. This is the first time that I've been given bad advice from director from so you're allowed to free. No problem. So not just I'm not off track.
Second presentation.
The 6.2.
Yes.
Very good. Bear with us. Acting as CEO Thompson.
I believe Councilor Hoopstra made the motion as recommended on 1C, and it is on the floor. Waiting.
Very good. As indicated. There. Tabulators. This is the bacon. So after that, let's go ahead and reread that one motion so everybody's clear what we're doing. See.
So that council will authorize administration to direct the conveyance of the land to the adjacent property owner upon the conditions of the subdivision approval being satisfied.
Thank you so much. Well, good and more input. Please proceed to vote. That item is passed unanimously as well, which brings us to item 6.2, bylaw 400.74 for the redesignation from USR 1 before us for second reading. And Director Hackett, you joining us?
Thank you very much, Mayor Creasy. So this recommended motion tonight would give second reading to bylaw 400.74. And this is to amend the land use bylaw. So it deals with the zoning, moving from environmental open space, which is what it is currently zoned, to the residential detached district as explained by Planner Fleetman, so that the land could be consolidated with the adjacent residential parcel. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonard Flumin, did you have anything you care to add?
Your worship, I think it's quite self-explanatory.
Wonderful, thank you. Councilor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Cruz. I will go forward and make the motion that council gives second reading to bylaw 474 as presented.
Councilor Luttrell.
Thank you, Mayor Christie, but I thought this was municipal reserve. So why in the purpose does it say from an environmental open space to R1, where you had explained that it was municipal reserve, ULUS?
I think that is the non-technical term, is environmental open space, which in fact is what it is. As far as our designations for planning documents, it is in fact municipal reserve. Is that correct, Mr. Flumin?
Please be correct, you actually don't.
I don't hear it, I mean, go right ahead.
I think the opposite. The land use plan on the designated environmental open space, EOS, municipal reserve was actually a legal designation as part of the land and title status. So the MR is actually on the title of the property and has a different status. So the environmental open space R1 change is totally within council's authority. Removal of the MR designation requires council's approval, but it's a step that's actually taken by the land registry.
Anyone else wish to speak? So we've got a second reading before us for consideration. Please proceed to vote. That is unanimously in favor as well. Director Pete Shea, item 6.3, bylaw 389.1, fire services bylaw amendment, number 1, goes for third reading this evening. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy, and good evening, council. This evening, administration is presenting bylaw 1.1 and amendment fire services bylaw, third reading. First reading was received on August 11th through the consent agenda, and second reading was on August 25th. There have not been any changes since the second reading to the bylaw itself. However, after hearing some of the discussion about standby time on Schedule A, administration is recommending to lower the fee from $200 to $175 to better align with the Alberta transportation rates. Administration is also recommending that response fees referred to the Alberta transportation rates instead of actually posting the cost of each, as this would require a change every year when the Alberta transportation rates would change. For transparency though, what we would propose is that administration will place those rates on the fire services website so that there will always be an update at a current rate so that people can see what those rates are. Unfortunately, Alberta transportation does not post their rates on their government site, but we would be able to see it would be within our fund. Aside from that, administration is recommending support. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them at this time.
Councilor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. So $175 per hour is flat, or is that X amount of members as well on top of the 175? Because all due respect, a $1.5 million pumper per hour, sorry, having some experience with the equipment, does not really recover that or if you're anyways.
So that in the bylaw it is identified by the unit. So
by the quarter hour, actually.
Yes.
So that's $175 per quarter hour.
Oh, okay, I'll just.
And it's per unit.
That's per unit.
Address Councilor Ross's question whether it's the large part of the unit or another.
Any of the engines, absolutely. Yeah.
Councilor Luttrell.
Thanks, Mayor Christie. I will make that motion using Alberta transportation rates and a standby rate of $175 per clear hour. That council give third reading of bylaw 389.1 fire services bylaw amendment number 1 as amended.
But I thought it was a little ironic when I read it, because I was only brought it up, I thought it was a little aggressive. The pricing of it was before. And I had it in my mind that it was $700 per hour, and made the consideration and only paid $175 for 15 minutes, which is identical to the $75 an hour. So thank you for all the clarification. Sorry. Do you have any additional input? Please proceed to vote. Is unanimously supported as well. Third reading for bylaw 389.1. And item 6.4 of the municipal police force bylaw amendment bylaw 511.1 before us for third reading. For near development, just hear it.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. Council, this evening administration presents bylaw 511.1 reflecting option 1, which is 2 council members and 3 public members on this commission. At the August 11th council meeting, first reading was given with option 2, which was 1 council member and 4 public members as the preferred structure. Administration had recommended option 1 to maintain 2 council members for stronger oversight of municipal services. Following further discussion on the August 25th council amended the bylaw to option 1 before second reading, which the bylaw subsequently received second reading. The amendments ensure compliance with recent changes under the Police Act and police governance regulation, clarifying appointment processes, and include transitional provisions for current members. These changes enhance accountability, align the bylaw with provincial legislation, and provide clear guidance on patient composition. Administration recommends that council give third reading to bylaw 511.1 as presented.
Thank you for that. Councillor Hoopshaw.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. I would like to speak against giving third reading to this bylaw once again. The legacy of this council has been a very good relationship with our police commission. And part of that has to be, or has been, because of how we have dealt with each other very respectfully. And the commission members are somewhat alarmed to know that it would be a 3-2 composition going forward, as it does not give them the latitude to really be the voice of the community. I know it was said at this table that we as councillors are the voice of the community. I agree, but the optics of having 2 council members and 3 community members seems like an unfair balance at this point in time. There could be a time that a community member wouldn't be there and it'd be 50-50. But I spoke with some of my fellow commission members and they were very disappointed that this past second reading. And the one comment that really stuck with me is that the chair of the commission has to come is a community member. So there will be only 3 members on this commission going forward if we pass this bylaw that would potentially be chair. And for succession planning, that's very difficult to have that all built in there. But I think the biggest thing is the legacy of having good relations with the commission, and the commission desires that it be 1 council member. I desire that it would be 1 council member on the commission. We have a new chief and we have a new council coming together. Let us gift them with a starting point that is favorable to most people. And If down the road, we determine that we should have two, then let's look at it again. But at this point in time, I think the optics of having two council members on the commission is, it appears heavy-handed and does not entrust the community members of the commission to do what we have tasked them to do.
Thank you. Councilor Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. First, I'd like to make the reading and then I would have a few comments. I move that council gives third reading to bylaw 511.1 as presented. And again, I'm just going to reiterate some of the views that I have that support this. Even with two councillors, it's still a minority position. I think it would be very wrong if the province comes in and you fully utilize the two spaces they're able to have, and the city is again in the minority position considering we're the major funders. When public has issues with the police force or whatever the case may be, it's us that wear that, frankly, as well as we're the ones that get communicated with, with the most about these types of topics. And I really find it unfortunate that the commission members might feel this to be heavy-handed, but frankly, I think it's fair. And the same reasons that I gave for the second reading is the same feelings that I have now. I do want to just reiterate that I highly value what the commission, the public commission members bring to the table. And it's very important that they still are the majority position, but this does need to be a collaboration of three, apparently, according to the province of Alberta. So I think it's only right that we have two elected members on the commission.
Thank you. Councilor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I guess I have one question before I make any statements, and that is with the chair of a commission, do they not have voting responsibility or rights as the chair of the commission?
Yes, I believe they do.
Okay, thank you. So, may I just ask for some clarification? Can you ask me for clarification that they wouldn't be, when you say we wouldn't have three members with the chair and two, is maybe I misinterpreted or misheard what you said.
Yes.
Please do, Councilor O'Trevor.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy, and over to Councilor Dallas. What I meant is that when you have three members, one needs to be chair, and then you hope that there's another one that is waiting in the wings to be the next chair. That's pretty, you've only got two people to pick from to be your next chair. So the depth of your opportunity to develop your chair has been limited. That's what I meant.
Thank you.
So that really had nothing to do with voting, it was more for succession planning.
Correct.
Very good. And did you have additional comments, Councilor Dallas?
Oh, yes, just for the delay here, thank you. I hear the statements from our other councillors and the members of council that are on this commission, and I appreciate it and I do respect the police commission members that are at large, and even our provincial representative, I think, has been well serving for our community in this sense, and has not just been provincial plant. I do believe this is important for us to be there. I believe that the council voice is imperative at this, and I understand that when we have one council member, that council voice is there. I also am familiar with events and opportunities that have happened in other committees where one council voice maybe isn't able to articulate what is needed in our community and what's being thought. And again, I'm not trying to insult any of our current council members in saying that's what is happening now, but I do believe there is a possibility for that in the future. And that I believe having a second strong voice is imperative on an organization of this standard. And this is not just an opportunity for us to control purse strings. This is an opportunity to accurately represent the community. And that's why, despite comments I've heard tonight, I will still support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Connacht.
Thank you, Mayor Chrissy. As the second member who sits there now, again, I would support Councillor Hook's comments. I just go back to my comments that I made earlier, that the whole point of the police commission, why they were established over 100 years ago, was to be free of undue political influence. And I blame the province for this a little bit, for deciding that they should be political appointees on these commissions. And now that we are suggesting that we should have another second on there, it just, I kind of defeats the purpose of the police commission to begin with. But at any rate, I understand the reasons why. I understand the reasons on both sides. It's a bit of a slippery slope because there's nothing to say that soon it will be 3 members and 4.
This has been an interesting item for me. Initially, I spoke in favor of the 2 representatives from council. To be honest, perfectly honest, just as a practical thing to make sure that our representation is in fact kept up with on the commission. It was not meant to be because someone was not doing their job, or that we had to have 2 votes or to somehow push our ideas on the commission. That was not at all. So after a lot of input from both of our current serving members on council, and, some members on the commission, other members on the commission itself, I find myself it's changed my input from the second reading and support a single council representative, primarily for what I was brought up by both our serving members was the perception of the public, and we all know that perception becomes reality for most, and it's important that we seen as in fact we are separate from the operations of the police commission and service.
Thanks, Mayor Greasy. I have one more thing to add, which I forgot. Like when Councillor Hicks said they are still the majority, but that is fear. We have 2 provincial appointees and 2 council appointees, then they are down to 3, and that is not the majority of the commission. So, and even though those other appointees all represent the community, it is as our mayor said, sometimes the optics become people. It's their perception that who is actually controlling the commission or controlling leading the commission becomes people's reality. What is actually going on? So I would not support this 3rd reading.
Thank you, Mayor Greasy. I also think that we should just be 1 representative, but we don't have the ability to have all. Is that correct?
I do not believe there's any
Revision for.
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Rivers.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Just in response to that comment, I would say it's pretty rare when the city and the province agree on anything. So I still think that, frankly, the citizens are the majority vote. And we talk about optics. So let's talk about governance structure first. So the police commission is not actually operations. They are more governance. They hire a police chief, and that's who actually does the operations. So not really unlike how this body here works. And frankly, I do feel like we need to have more say in strategic planning, what community policing looks like. And I think that's a lot to put on 1 member. We've been doing 2, and I don't understand why now suddenly that is so terrible, because I guess there's fewer members, but I don't see that as suddenly becoming bad. I really do feel like this chamber, the people in this chamber are the ones that bear the brunt of when people are maybe unhappy with things that they see in the community, or even potentially the reverse, when they see things they really like, and we're getting credit for that, and we shouldn't be. So I honestly 100% feel that we really should have 2 members on there. I think that would serve our police service better going forward. It doesn't mean that it's political, but frankly, it is a little bit, because that is just the nature of the beast. And I think that puts the onus on those commission members to be really remembering why they would be there. Like, they're on behalf of the city, certainly, but they're commission members, so they still have to be thinking that way first. But they're bringing the knowledge that they have in the day-to-day conversations with them to that commission table. And I don't know, I can't speak for any of you, but I would say that I get a lot of communication about police matters. And so I just feel like I would be potentially a very valuable member to be at that commission table. And it would be hard to say that any other person here would bring that same value. And I think that would only make the commission stronger. So I guess I realize that this is probably not going to pass third reading at this moment in time, given the comments around the table. But I would really wish that you would just take one last second to just reconsider that and support third reading.
I can see it, Thompson.
Thank you, Chrissy. Just as a matter of process, because we are at third reading and the recommendation is one way, seeing it's the other way, to avoid just killing the bylaw the other and having to start again for us. If a member of council be willing to contain an amendment motion to vote on that, allow us to amend the recommended motion to reflect one member of council and 4 public members or other members, then we can pass the reading based on that and the process. If these councils will start again, then by all means, continue to get this proposed. Let's see if it is defeated, we just make that forward with the bylaw starting from the meeting.
Thank you for that nice reminder.
Thanks, Mark Creasy. That was going to be my strategy coming in the room, but I changed it in the beginning and then it got amended for second reading. And I was curious about legislatively, can we continue to amend and change? We can. Okay. So that we have a motion on the floor. So then I would move that let me think here. I want to say option 2. Then I move that council gives. I would like to amend the bylaw. Wait, tell me about it.
Thank you, Councilor. I was going to suggest that in fact, the way it's written, I think it's fine. That's the number that you're concerned with. So your amendment would be to replace 2 representatives council with a single representative from as an amendment.
So I move that we amend bylaw 511.1 to have that council will appoint up to 5 members to the commission, with 1 member being a councillor of the city of Macomb and 4 public members.
We'll give coordinator a moment to work through that. I can say, Thompson, you have something else as well.
Just some proposed language that council appoint that you can get this. The exact meaning motion I would recommend. You could add section 2.5 or 5.1, but would be safe. So we include all in, and then section 2.5, bylaw 511.1 to read council shall appoint 5 members, including one member, so of the city of Lacoma.
That sounded like my voice.
Imagine somebody tuning in online right now. Nobody's speaking. Just so everyone is, Fisher understands what we're doing then. It's the amending motion. What we dealt with first. And then the main motion here, we dealt with second. There's been some updates. We'll have a cross sheet tabulator. Except that she has their ones fully input so that everyone that online can hear as well.
Amending motion on the floor is that council amend section 2.5 of bylaw 511.1 to read, council shall appoint up to 5 members, including 1 member of council in the city of Lacombe and 4 public members.
Thank you. That was your attention, Councillor Hutcher.
Yes, Mayor Creasy.
Thank you. Does anyone have any final questions or comments? Very good. Please vote on the amending motion. And that is passed by a margin of 4-3. Those opposed are Councillor Ross, Councillor Dallas, and Councillor Hibbs. Thanks, everyone. Back to the main motion. If you could reread that for us, please.
With consideration of the amending motion being passed. The main motion will read that council gives third reading to bylaw 511.1 as amended.
Thank you. Just to be sure, our tabulators actually anticipate every outcome. It says as presented. I'll wait for that to be updated to amended. Okay, very good. All right, so it does read out that council with third reading of bylaw 511.1 as amended. That is the addition. Please proceed to vote. And by a margin of 4 to 3, that item is passed as well. Against Councilors Ross, Nicholas, and Hibbs. Therefore, is passed. Item 6.5, the Regional Collaboration Committee Terms of Reference, Acting CEO Thompson.
Thanks, Rick Reese. I'm very pleased to introduce to council the North Lyman River Tri-Municipal Collaborative. And so this is on the, comes forward due to direction given by council early this year, that administration developed terms of reference for a regional collaboration committee involving the city of Lacombe, Macomb County, and the town of Blackwells. And so the CAOs of all 3 municipalities have collaborated on a terms of reference and have put forward this collaborative as the answer to that motion. It has been forwarded to Blackwells and Lacombe County councils, both of which. This committee will be an avenue for strategic regional discussions between the 3 municipalities. It provides a structured place for not only networking amongst appointees, but also discussing ideas such as the ones that I think about earlier today around recreation, regional recreation facility plan. This terms of reference proposes to comprise 2 council members from each municipality, and as well as an additional alternate. The CAOs of each municipality will serve the committee in an advisory voting capacity. The terms of reference contemplates an initial workshop to help guide the committee's initial priorities. And from that initial list, the committee may discuss topics that include strategic growth, infrastructure, recreation, culture, economic development, emergency services, and regional planning. But we are careful to say that this committee is not meant to overlap with existing AVP, ICF committees, or other structures that are already in place to handle regional collaboration and operational matters. So in other words, this committee attempts to fill in the gaps. It's not meant to try to replace anything that already exists. The committee proposes to, or their terms of reference proposes the committee meet twice per year, with posting responsibilities rotating annually. Year 1 being the city of Lacombe, next would be Macomb County and Blackwells, year 3. And then the agendas will be developed by the 3 CAOs in collaboration. And then respective recommendations, or the recommendations coming out of the committee, we go back to the respective councils for ratification. So this is finally it's an advisory committee and a place for collaboration and discussion and consensus building. It proposes that decisions be made by consensus, and that if a consensus cannot be reached, consensus -1. So that means you have six voting members. And it attempts to reach consensus if there is 1 member that has an opposing view. That still is considered a pass vote, we'll call it that, or still considered consensus. We're not going to consensus to make the recommendation back to respective councils. But if there's 2 dissenters of an issue, whether it's from the same municipality or different municipality, just 2 dissenters, then that would be considered failed consensus resolution. And so I'm pleased to bring this forward and then introduce it to the City of Lacombe Council. Look forward to your discussion and comments, and are recommending that council endorse this terms of reference today.
We'll start with this free catch name. Councilor Hubstrup.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'm thrilled to see this, because I would say this is something that has come out of Councilor Connick, my efforts of going to AUMA, and sometimes you wonder about what comes out of conferences, but we had the privilege of seeing City of Red Deer and the County of Red Deer work together, and I think there might have been some sharing of their terms of references to bring it to this point. I was blown away by the logo though already. I thought this is really moving ahead further than I thought, but that's wonderful. I would really like to make this motion though that council endorses the North Blind Man River Tri-Municipal Collaborative Terms of Reference as presented. One added comment, maybe two. My only comment is, well, 2 meetings a year seems too few. I know that the City of Red Deer and County of Red Deer, I believe you met every 2 weeks initially, which is a lot. But I know committees that I've been on that meet 4 times a year, at least seems sort of negative. So I'm curious whether that will be something that would be tweaked. My one regret was not running again is I don't get to chair this. So I got to chair the first time we got together, but anyway, that's my motion.
Thanks, Councilor. With respect to meeting frequency, is there some does the collaborative have to be able to adjust that if the situation was?
Yeah, certainly. The meeting frequency initially is being proposed as semi-annually, trying to manage administrative support time, trying to recognize the there's some storming stuff that needs to happen with the committee initially. But certainly if based on the first workshop, there's a need to meet more frequently and a need to be more active, then the board can certainly, or the committee can certainly make those adjustments. We propose to review this terms of reference after a year, and so that could reestablish some new norms around meeting frequencies. I also want to say that despite the need, the committee meeting semi-annually, certainly administratively, we're discussing and talking about things frequently to hopefully make those meetings productive and insightful for everyone involved. And so, hear you, and we're looking forward to seeing how it plays out in the meetings.
Councilor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'm also very excited about this. It's an opportunity for us to work together and do some real positive things, some things we couldn't do on our own without these partners. I know there's a number of examples around the province where this has happened, like Stony Plains, Moose Grove, and a few other places I've heard about that have done something really special, and I hope we can do something too.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. As we all know, sitting around this table, that these rec facilities are massively expensive, and we heard from a group tonight that's looking for an indoor soccer pitch, and I know there's a lot more ice surfaces needed, and the only way going forward really is to collaborate with them, just trying to build another facility, because it just can't, it's really untenable when one community tries to do it nowadays. So yeah, again, excited about the prospects of this and looking forward to seeing how it takes up and things.
Thank you, Councilor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I also get very excited about this opportunity. The intermunicipal group that I was part of back in my first term was really a great experience. I loved that to interplay with our county neighbors. And so this is just an expansion of that essentially. And I did have a question about the meetings, but that was already answered. So the only other one I had was a bit more, it talks about like the municipality, the host municipality being the meeting chair. It doesn't really get into details as to like how the actual operations of these meetings occur, like how do you elect a chair, for example, or like why was that not contemplated in this document as being in terms of reference? So just curious, because it doesn't really get into the procedural part of meetings, and I feel like that should be part of a terms of reference, just to clearly lay out what that expectation is.
So these are good questions around the hosting of the chair. It's the expectation that the host municipality amongst the representatives would have their own mechanism for appointing the chair for themselves. So for example, when it's in their own county, they would have their own mechanism for saying which of their representatives would be the chair. And this committee doesn't attempt to try to get into that decision making within each municipality. We're going to figure it out from the paperwork recommendation. Who's the chair? certainly in terms of the specificity or gaps that are in the terms of reference, that we realize after a year or some time being together, there's going to be probably some improvements or adjustments that are made. And I think that's kind of built into the process, and at least from our point of view, kind of an understood thing that there might be a need to adjust the terms of reference and add clarity or add more specificity if it's necessary, remove some, maybe there's too much, or we don't have to be so specific. And so from our point of view, we think it's important to get to bring the group together, to have enough alignment on the objectives, have enough alignment on the purpose of the committee, that we can have productive discussions and in terms of reference and the important, I'll call it red tape, but the bureaucracy around it is there to serve and support the maintenance or a block to advance their recommendation.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I was fortunate in the last 2 terms to be on the record and through your record conferences, just like very amazing. Remember some distinct sessions going to, and always forget the elected officials session, that here's some quotes of potential facilities that municipalities were getting back on costs. And for example, Twin Surface Arena that the Duke got was 45 million, and the many different examples. And I alluded the same thing as well as to CO Gowdy, as did our own colleagues through the intermunicipal meetings with the county. Is there's no way that this community going forward with our own recreation facilities at capacities over 90%, can we even dream about it happening without collaboration? Potentially each of the partners could put 20 million into a pool with reserves in a 10-year capital plan and realistically have something come to fruition. But as a standalone, I think that it would be it would never happen. Whereas I see this with this relationship, with this initiative, with reserves of all three, it could very well come forward. And I think this is awesome. This is great. It shows that a vision can possibly become a reality. But solely on their own, absolutely not. The numbers are just astronomical. Even to replace a swimming pool, it'll probably be 20 million. It's just the not only service one demographic. So this is awesome. This is yeah, we really look forward to this. Thank you.
Let's see any more lights on for the motion brought forward by Councillor Luther in terms of reference. So please proceed to vote. Strongly endorsed. That's unanimous. They voted in favor. Thanks, everyone. Briefly recap some of our meetings. One regular meeting council at 5:30 here in Chambers on September 22nd. Followed by 2 committee meetings in the whole, both in Chambers, so 3 p.m. as well. And those will be held on September 29th and October 6th. I believe that concludes our business for David. All right. Councillor Trout.
And so we adjourn. Almost can't believe that.
Not to speak slowly because it's like 7:30.
It's 7:30.
Very good. All those in favor. Just go ahead. Okay. So we're gonna vote you. Okay, let's go. Very good. We adjourned very much. Thank you.